Welcome to the Audience Converter Podcast, the podcast for converting your audience from strangers to loyal fans. We dive deep and discuss how entrepreneurs, consultants, and coaches can level up their business to help more people in the world. Now here's your host, the creator of the Audience Conversion Method, Kimberly Weitkamp.
Are you a little lost when it comes to marketing? Not sure where to spend your time, how to bring in the right people, or even where to get started? You know you should be doing it, but you just can't manage to figure out a method that actually works for you and your business. Join me at Audience Conversion Live happening February 23rd through the 25th, where we're going to dive deep into the audience conversion method, give you a strategy to get started with your marketing today, and you'll get the copy written for the beginning of your customer's journey. That includes a landing page, an email sequence, and what's popularly known as a lead magnet. Join me and check it out at theaudienceconverter.com/live. Welcome back to another episode of the Audience Converter Podcast for community leaders. I'm your host, Kimberly Weitkamp, a conversion copywriter and marketing strategist. And today we're going to talk about something all of us struggle with. Many of us struggle with, at least, and we can always have room for improvement. Now, of course, my forte is marketing, and what I want to talk about kind of builds on what we talked about last week, which was defining your audience, right? You can't get started with anything when it comes to marketing if you don't know who you're talking to in the first place. So be sure to check out the Defining Your Audience episode that aired last week. And make sure to really take a listen and define who is your audience. Make sure you have that figured out, because without knowing who exactly you're talking to, it's really hard to attract people, and it's certainly hard to take them from strangers to loyal fans using the audience conversion method if you don't know and you're not sure about who your audience actually is. So today, we've now defined our audience, right? We know who our audience is. A quick example for you, my ideal audience is a woman. She's over the age of 50. She runs her own business. She's most likely a coach or a consultant. She's been in business for at least a year and a half. She has several testimonials already gathered, and she's ready to take a step back from creating her own marketing. She wants to have her voice, her distinctive brand personality throughout her marketing message. She wants to be a part of creating her marketing, but she doesn't want to write it all herself, and she's looking for some external help. So that's, a quick breakdown. I think that was about 30 seconds of an ideal audience member for me. That's somebody who's an ideal audience member for me. So do you have someone like that? Do you have that definition dialed in? Can you just rattle it off when people say, hey, I've got this person. Are they a good fit for you? Should I introduce you to them? And then you can say, hey, is it like this person? And they can say yes or no for you. So now let's talk about attracting your audience. What does that mean, right? I am on a mission to remove the phrase lead generation from marketing, because that doesn't apply when we're using the internet, when we're using the online space, when we are using the new approach that a lot of people have to communication with businesses, right? If I want to hear about discounts from Kohl's, well, I'm probably going to be on Kohl's mailing list, or I'm going to have a Kohl's credit card, any of those types of things. That means I'm going to get Kohl's stuff in the mail. Is it always going to be relevant? No. But is it going to be directed at the right people? Yes. Okay, so that's a retail store example there. But we want to be attracting our audience. And, a lot of people, they come to me and they're like, I have no idea how to get started. I have heard all of the things. I've been told I have to do all the things. I've heard this idea that I have to be omnipresent. It's so much work. I'm overwhelmed. I don't have time. How on earth can I really make this work? So here's what I'm going to dive into today. First, you don't have to be everywhere. In fact, I strongly recommend against it, and here's why. Yes, you could have a presence on every single channel out there ever. But you would also probably need to have a different strategy for every single channel ever, and potentially different content, or at least augmented or slightly changed content based on every single channel out there. And it takes a lot of time, right? And unless you have the money to hire out everything that has to do with your marketing, like hiring an agency, right, that, Marriott hires, okay? Unless you have that kind of budget, it's a little hard for you to be completely everywhere. So The simplest method to get started is for you to sit down and define, okay, I've got my ideal people. Where do they hang out? List those places. Where do they hang out? So, for example, I know somebody who's got a business and their ideal person is a millennial. Okay. I happen to fall into that category. Their ideal person is a millennial. Well, guess what? Millennials are on Facebook. They're on a couple of other channels too, potentially, but millennials are actually a lot older than people kind of have in their minds. In the marketing world, they keep blaming everything on millennials, where the people they're complaining about that are spending all of their time on, Snapchat. And I'm not even sure if Snapchat is still around, so maybe TikTok or anything like that. The general age tends to be a lot younger, so it's a completely different category there. Or, I want people who aren't going to post too much personal stuff. So my people, if they're looking for somebody like me, then maybe they're only thinking about business at that point. So maybe you want to consider LinkedIn. Take a moment and really figure out, where are my people? And if you're not entirely sure where your people are, you've been in business for a while. So go look and see where people came from. If they came to your website or if they signed up for something that you were giving away, where did they come from? Right? You can install Google Analytics on your site and see kind of where your traffic comes from. How do people get to your website? A lot of links that you create, they have the ability to be trackable, especially if you're posting stuff on social media, so that you can tell if somebody clicked on that link, then they came from a social site. You can add a bunch of different stuff to it. That's all the technical side. But honestly, you can figure out where your current audience came from. And that's a good starting point. And if you're not really sure, well, then just think about, who your people are. What do they do for fun? Where do they hang out? What kind of other topics interest them? And then go and find people who have lists of people that fit that description and see if you can do some sort of exchange. Okay. Marketing does not have to mean you're posting on social media 50 times a day. In fact, if that's all you're doing, you're probably not using a solid strategy. So the simplest method is to sit down and decide, where do my people hang out? And if you're not really sure about that, then, backtrack. Install something. You might have to wait a week or so to get, to start seeing results, but see where your traffic is coming from. Or simply send out an email to your list and say, hey, how did you find me? Now, people may not remember, you may not get a high response rate, but it's a starting point for you to decide if that's where you really want to focus on your time. The second thing I really want you to figure out, okay, is how much time realistically do you have to focus on your marketing? And here's why I ask this. Because there are so many people out there who have heard, oh my gosh, I need to be on Instagram and I need to be on YouTube, and I've heard I should get a podcast started, and I know I need to be emailing, and I know I should be posting on Facebook, but I guess that's like a lot of times a day and I have to write it all out, and suddenly you don't have time to run your business, much less do any of the strategies. So what happens is you're everywhere, but you don't really have a strategy for anywhere, and none of it works, which is not useful for you. So when we talk about attracting your audience, first define, where are they? Then, okay, how do I bring them in? How do I attract them? I want you to choose two. Pick two to get started. Okay. If one of those methods is exchanges with other people, like, they promote your freebie, you promote their freebie, great. That's one channel. What's another one? Okay. But pick two to get started. And then go digging. Go see what your people are talking about. Take notes every time you get on a prospect call and find out, what are their top questions? What does it seem like everybody asks me? What is the one thing people aren't clear on? And then you're going to meet people where they are. Okay, to attract your audience, you want to meet people where they're at. What are they currently struggling with? How can you help them? Right? That's my whole approach to marketing. The single question, how can I help you, at the heart of any campaign? So when talking about attracting your audience, really start taking notice. What are the questions they struggle with? Especially if you're able to get people on the phone who are your prospects. These are people who have reached out to you on their own and they have questions. Take note of those questions. Take note of what they need to know. Take note of what was most interesting to them. You can do a little testing if you want. Use your own email list as a testing ground and create 4 emails with 4 ideas. And then send them out with a very, very clear subject line, okay, on the same day. But you're going to test, right? And, send it to 30% each. So you can start with 3 ideas. It doesn't matter. But test it to see, okay, which of those topics got the most opens? And then if they opened it and you told them to go look at something, was it a high click rate? And then you can do it again. And once you send 3 or 4 of these variations, see what happens. See which topic is the most relevant, right? Attracting your audience is really all about entering the conversation where somebody already is. So for example, I have a lot of friends in the entrepreneurial space, especially in the health space. Now, I don't necessarily always write in the health space, but I know a lot of people who focus in that area. So let's talk keto. Okay. Keto is a particular type of diet people use. It's a lifestyle to eat, right? But if your audience doesn't know the wonders of keto, all they know is they want to lose weight, for example, well, you can't start putting out a bunch of stuff about keto. If all you publish, if all you put into your marketing is keto recipes, keto workouts, I don't know all of the different things. But if that's all you put out and your ideal person is somebody who wants to lose weight but doesn't know about keto yet, then that's not the right approach. A better approach would be a diet that's easy to follow and can help you lose weight. Or an article comparing 4 different methods for losing weight or 5 foods that are going to help you lose weight. And then in those articles, you can start introducing them to the idea of keto. You see how that's a difference though? If we're going to talk about juicing, if we're going to talk about keto, if we're going to talk about paleo, if we're going to talk about gluten-free, any of those different types of items, right? If everything you publish is strictly juicing, and people don't really know about the benefits yet, then you can't bring them further into your world. So remember, when you're creating your marketing, this material needs to be entry level. But entry level for your ideal person. If your ideal person is somebody who knows what keto is and has decided, yeah, I'm pretty sure I want to try it, but they don't know where to get started, then you don't want to be talking about, here is what the definition of keto is, because they already know that. That's not where they are. Where they are is, how do I make it easy? How do I find the grocery stores? How do I find the foods that I want? Where do I look? Those are their types of questions, right? So, the easiest step really for you to get started, sit down, define where your people are, choose to start. Choose to and track your results. So incredibly important. Track your results. So many people don't do this and drives me crazy. But you really need to know what is resonating with your people. So if you put something out onto social, okay, you put something out onto social and it's whatever the topic is and nobody clicks on it, that tells you something. If you put something out and 10 people click on it, that tells you something, right? If you create an email and a ton of people open that email, well, that tells you something. If you create an email and no one opens that email, well, that tells you something too. So you really need to be tracking, okay, here's the activity I took and here were the results. Now remember, your results are your own. You don't have to follow anybody's definition of what success looks like. Your results are your own. That means your results are your own. So if you are looking to get 3 new subscribers to your list a week, and you're putting out content on different social platforms to encourage people to go get a freebie, we'll see. Okay, this week I took this approach. Did I get 3 new subscribers? Did they come from the channels I'm investing in, or did they come from somewhere else? You have to track your metrics, okay? But your best tool for research is your audience. Quite honestly, your best tool for research is your audience. Get people on the phone. If you can't get people on the phone, if your audience is on Facebook, for example, join a couple groups around your topic. See what people are talking about. You can go to Quora, put in a couple of search queries or put in a couple of keywords and see what questions are popping up for people. Anytime a large group of people that are your ideal audience are gathering in a single place, see what they're talking about. That's how you join the conversation where they are. It's the easiest method for research. It's really fast. And I'm going to give you a magical tool for your research. It is so easy to fall down the rabbit hole. So easy to fall down the rabbit hole. So your best tool ever for research is a timer. Choose 2 to 3 places to do your research, whether that's your, gathering a survey or searching through questions and queries on Quora or Reddit or hanging out in a Facebook group. And I want you to set a timer. 30 minutes. 30 minutes to create your survey, 30 minutes to look at the topics, 30 minutes. That's it. See what you can find in 30 minutes. And when you have a time frame like that, you will be amazed at how much more you actually take in and are able to start recognizing patterns faster. Because what happens so often is we're like, I have to go figure it out. And we fall down the rabbit hole. We end up spending hours and hours and hours, and we don't even know how to use the information. So give yourself a really strict timeline. 30 minutes, one channel. Choose 2 to 3 channels. See if anything correlates. That's it. And that's the best way to get started. So when we're talking about attracting your audience, it all starts with knowing where your audience is. The way to attract your audience is to join them in the conversation that they're already having. And you do that through research. It's not exactly the most exciting thing in the world, but that's how it happens. And if you're curious as to how you can use these different methods, how to use these different forums to really dive deep, and a couple of questions to get started with. If you're like, okay, I understand I need to create something or put out marketing that really speaks to my audience, but I'm not sure where to get started. If you're unclear, if you're like, yeah, I know I want to attract my audience, but what channel is really best? If you have these kinds of questions, I want to invite you to join me at the Audience Conversion Live. The Audience Conversion Live is a live event I'm hosting February 23rd through the 25th. And it is all about creating a marketing strategy that is actually going to work for your business. And it's workshop style. And what we're going to do is we are actually going to create your audience attraction tools. That's your freebie. That's your landing page. That's your welcome series. All of these types of items. We're going to get your copy written. Okay, it's workshop style. We're going to go into the methodology. We're going to dive deep into how it works and the frameworks, and then you are going to have the time to actually sit down and write it. Unlike a lot of other 3-day events where, you get all this great and wonderful information and maybe you meet great and wonderful people, but then it's on you to follow up and then it's on you to actually find the time afterwards to put everything into effect. That's not what we're talking about here. We are going to get your copy written for all of those things. And as part of this, we also have a couple of pre-event trainings that we're hosting where we're going to help you define your audience and help you figure out how to attract your audience so that you can hit the road as fast as possible during the 3-day event to make sure you can make most of your time and the workshop and get your copy written. So check it out at theaudienceconverter.com/live. And, today, really the most important thing is your audience are people. They have questions. You have answers. Creating your marketing around that philosophy is going to make it so incredibly easy, and it's going to be the easiest thing you have ever done. Thank you so much for listening, folks. That's it for today. Do be sure to check out theaudienceconverter.com/live to get all of the details about Audience Conversion Live happening February 23rd. And until next time, keep calm and carry on.
Thanks for listening to the Audience Converter Podcast. For more information and important links about today's show or for access to our website, visit theaudienceconverter.com. Take a moment to rate and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.